So what exactly can I say about Rage 2? Rage 2 is a tedious fetch quest game with an unparalleled amount of repetition. It is, in every aspect, average. There's nothing special, there's nothing new about it. The story itself, minus all of the side quests and shit that you have to do, you're mandated to do them to progress into the main story. The story is 2 to 4 hours, and the gameplay is extremely average. And honestly, as far as the difficulty, play on the absolute hardest difficulty, Ultra Nightmare and added on insane level, whatever it is. Play on the hardest. That way you feel like you have to do things, because honestly in Rage 2, everything's a breeze. The gameplay is so standard that you're already familiar with it right from the intro. And it's sad, like you learn nothing new. You gain new features and new enhancements and new gadgets, but everything has already been done before. It's not a bad game, it's just so mediocre and average. It's such an average game, and that sucks because the first Rage, while it's not the greatest thing ever made, it was a decent, solid, good foundation. It was a decent game, but it had such a great foundation to it. All they had to do was insert Rage and then add on. And instead, the id Software just said, throw that away. Here's Rage 2. How are we going to make Rage 2? I'll tell you how we make Rage 2. You know the success of Doom? Implant that shit in there, add colorful colors to it, and boom, Rage 2. And guess what? There's no rage to be had. Honestly, the gameplay, it's fun for the first hour or so, but you realize that it's all tedious repetition through the entire thing. The storyline, the storytelling of it is literally just fetch quests. Not to mention, so the story is set up, there's an intro main mission, and then after the intro, it's separated into 3 people you have to go find. And each person has 2 or 3 missions. And then after those, it's the final mission. First of all, that right there should tell you how long the freaking game is going to be. Second of all, the storytelling of this structure is this. You do 1 mission for the first one, and you're on level 0. And he tells you, okay, well, you have to be level 5 to do the next mission from me. So you're forced to have to do side quests. I'm not against side quests. I'm not against sub-quests or sub-stories or anything like that. I'm not against it. I'm not against world building. I'm against being forced to do those things. My preference for gaming is I like to play a game story on the easiest difficulty. Blaze right through it so I get a good top-notch opinion on said story and just the story. Then I usually, if I have time, I try to go back into it, replay it on the hardest difficulty, play through the story, but also do all the side quests or most of them that I can do. That way I'm compelled to play the game. And honestly, Ultra Nightmare is the preferred way to play this game. Other than that, the difficulty is awful. It is an extremely easy and repetitious game. Once you have the mechanics figured out, which you'll have them figured out right after the intro, it's all just the same. The environments are a wasted effort. It's all bland and unoriginal, desolate, post-apocalyptic wasteland environment. It's all the same. There was one environmental locale that made me think about Star Wars for a second, one of the worlds, and that's okay. But the problem is the story and even the gameplay does not utilize the world at all. Literally, the gameplay in the story, other than shooting people, which is freaking easy, it's literally talk to this person, and then they give you a task to go over on the map. So you get on the map, you select that to go there to be routed to the objective, and literally it takes you from here to here, and it's a 5 to 10 minute drive, and that's the storytelling as well. Honestly, if you get on YouTube, you will search in Rage 2 full story, and there's a video on there that says all cutscenes, and it amounts to roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's it. Usually a game's cutscenes alone last at least 4 hours, and that's lowballing a standard game. I like cutscenes that are 6 to 10 hours, or even like the Metal Gear Solid games where it's nothing but cutscenes that span 10 to 20 hours. But Rage 2, you get almost 2.5 hours, not even 2.5 hours at that, for story. Trying to think of anything good. I mean, nothing's bad. It's just all so mediocre and average. It's just for a game that released in 2019, it's just so average. And you probably could have picked that up, that the game was going to be nothing special, with how they promoted it, especially at E3. They brought in a rock band to promote it, and it was supposed to amp you up for some big off the rails game, and it's really not even that off the rails. They have something called Overdrive in it, and it lasts for about 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and it's not even a hyper drive thing. It just amplifies the power of your guns. That's pretty much about it. And I'm not trying to talk trash on this game. The story in it, while it's really short, it's not even good, which I'll give that to credit to the game. At least the first Rage's story was still pretty average as well. So I mean, going into Rage 2, if you had already played Rage, you were probably already expecting a very mediocre story. So I'll sort of credit it with that, but that's not really a compliment. That's just kind of sticking to the formula, which the formula for everything was far superior in the first Rage. There's really nothing that compels me to play any more of Rage 2, and I played about almost 3 hours of it. And honestly, it has been the exact same thing over and over and over. And the graphics are not even that good for 2019. They're PlayStation 4 to be expected, yes, but they're nothing great. They're not the Phantom Pain. Hell, even the Yakuza Kiwami remastered games look so much better than this game. And at least the Yakuza series, they have actual compelling, good stories with great characters in them. Rage 2's characters are bland and unoriginal. The only credit to those are the side characters, and they appear every now and again. That's it. The side characters are pretty interesting, but the main characters revolving around the main story, they're just generic. Everything about Rage 2 is very generic and standard fare first-person shooter. Now, before I give my rating, I want to explain something. If I give a game a low rating, it's not that I'm saying that it's a bad game. I'm saying that it needs a lot of improvements on it. Okay? So, if I give something even a 2 out of 10, that's not saying it's a bad game. There's some good to it, but there's so much more that could have been added in to make it a great game. Now, a 0 out of 10, there's no hope for that game. But that's besides the point. For me, Rage 2 is a 4 out of 10. To me, 5 is an average. And Rage 2, like I said, it is an average standard fare FPS. But in 2019, and now we're in 2020, that's not enough. Okay? This is me saying this is not enough. You need to experiment. And they failed to do so. They took every safe approach that they could, that they knew what they had to do, what they could do, and they just went on with it. They didn't even expand or add in to the stuff to the formula that they're already well aware of. They just put stuff in that they know about, they know people like, and they don't care how it's implemented. They just put it in and they served it up to us, and it's all average. So Rage 2, 4 out of 10. Thank you.